Our topic today is hiring good people as a small practice. Now, my guest and I don't have definitive answers, but we do have our own experiences, hers as a practice owner and me as a small business owner. So today is a discussion about our experiences and our ideas. Like I said, we don't think we have many answers, but we can commiserate and maybe some good stuff will come out for us and for you as well. As with every episode of Practice Care, we certainly hope this helps you out. I'm Carl White, principal at Mark Advisory Group, which is a healthcare marketing agency, and I'm also the host of Practice Care. The mission for both is the same, and that's to help private practice owners stay private. It's usually what they want, but care is better when it's the provider of care that also owns the practice, because any decision that's got to get made, business, clinical, whatever it may be, is made by the same people who have to turn right around and take care of a patient. So we can feel quite confident that the needs of those patients are always top of mind. My guest today, my returning guest, is Mary Lou Savino. Mary Lou has been practicing physical therapy since 1992 and opened Be Fit PT and Pilates in 2008. She specializes in the use of Pilates as a therapeutic exercise in rehab with an eclectic approach to incorporating Pilates, dry needling, light therapy, and wellness modalities into treatments. Mary Lou has always been a fitness and health enthusiast, so her concept behind this integrated model was to be able to go beyond traditional PT and utilize things like light therapy, dry needling, Pilates, and core strengthening and massage therapies to be a more well-rounded practice and to be able to take PT to the next level. Mary Lou, thanks for coming back for the second episode here on Practice Care.
Thank you so much for having me back. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I was at your office kind of recently, and listeners, it's two levels. I mean, the basement is the coolest tricked out basement I've ever seen, because
Thank
it's
you.
all full strength, full everything. And I'm here to tell you, these are not just words. Everything that I read in her bio really happens there, and it's cool. It was a cool place. I really liked
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, it
Thank you.
was
And our lower
not cookie
level,
cutter, not at
no,
all.
no, not cookie cutter. Our lower level is a gym,
Yeah.
which is it was actually, I mean, I'm kind of a gym rat anyhow. So when we got into this building, we were able to utilize that space for all the equipment that we had and made ourselves a nice little gym.
Yeah, not so little actually. It
Yeah.
was really cool. I really liked it. Um, so before we get into our commiseration discussion about how the hell do you hire good people as a small practice or a small business, for those who don't know you in any other way, even from a prior episode, just tell us a bit more about you.
Sure. I am actually a licensed physical therapist assistant. I have been in this business for 34 years. I've worked multiple types of venues from acute care hospital to subacute to rehabilitation. We did orthopedic, we did neuro, we did wound care, and also aquatics. So my background is kind of eclectic in that sense.
Mhm.
Obviously, I think outpatient and fitness are my true loves because I was also, even at that time, I was a fitness instructor, went into personal training as well and Pilates certification. So I'm kind of am that blended person. I've worked, oh my gosh, I've worked for other people for 15, 18 years. And even when I first opened, I still worked for a couple other places while trying to make some money.
Yeah.
Um, so I am a little eclectic in that way, but my background is varied. And so I've had lots of different experiences in inpatient and outpatient. But that was part of the plan because I knew I really wanted to open up a space that was more integrated, that really did combine fitness and wellness and took people farther
Hmm.
beyond just where people are functional in physical therapy. And so it's really that building that lifelong fitness and wellness and those strategies that really drives me. So that's why the
Yeah.
business is this integrated type of business of what it is now.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. And so, okay, so we're going to get into hiring good people as a small practice, just to kind of set the stage. First, for you, how many competitors would you say you have within, I don't know, 5 or 6 miles? About,
About 13 at
about,
last count. Yeah.
about a very specific number, 13. And
Yeah.
those are freestanding. Are you counting like any sort of hospital-based or system-based?
The system base might add another one, but yeah, those are mostly freestanding, private equity owned, but that does also include healthcare systems.
Sure.
One not hospital based, so it may be 14 if we count the local hospital based
Right.
programs here.
Right. And are you currently looking to hire anybody right now or just,
Right now, I've been in the process of hiring. for quite a while. I actually have just found someone, fingers crossed.
Fingers
So
crossed.
fingers crossed.
Listeners, we need all the fingers we can because think about the
Yes.
topic we're about to delve into.
Yeah, yeah. So I just hired physical therapist who is a new graduate. She graduates actually in about a week or two.
Hmm.
So she'll be coming on part time while she's waiting to take her boards. Um, and I actually this kind of goes into all of what we're talking about. I
Hmm.
actually had hired somebody prior to this,
Hmm.
made a proposal, had an acceptance, and then within a couple of weeks, that PT backed out of the deal.
Mm.
Um, and so that threw a little bit more of a wrench into the system.
Hmm.
Um, but in the meantime, I've also been hiring a Pilates instructor. So I've been interviewing. Um, Again, they are much more difficult to find than yoga instructors. And I know because of my type of practice I have, that could be an issue for me finding people who do what we do.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm in the process of looking for another Pilates instructor. And what else? Oh, we just hired a massage therapist.
Okay.
Um, Anyone else? And then we'll be bringing on another tech for this summer, but this tech was with us last year as a summer tech because these are college students who are going into physical therapy or healthcare.
Yeah.
So I am still essentially in the process of hiring.
Yeah. So you are in a few different phases. One, we hope the
Yes.
deal closes, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Others are earlier in their search. I
Yes.
mean, let's get into it. What are the challenges that you see? I mean, this podcast launched in COVID when the job market was, who could think it, maybe crazier than it is
Mm.
today,
Yes.
if that's
Yes.
possible. But it's not. That doesn't mean that today is sort of tame and calm and understandable or
Correct.
easy. It's
No,
still, it's still hard. So,
it's
like,
still
what are the? Yeah, just start talking. Like, what kind of challenges do you see?
sure. It's still challenging in the sense in the physical therapy world, and I'm in Illinois in the Chicagoland area. We're about 25 miles out of the city,
Hmm.
and so some of our challenges are just that we have a deficit of student graduates. There's not that many. They only graduate maybe 40 or 50
Mm.
a class. Some schools have more. Mm, Let me see. Northwestern, I think, graduates up to 100
Okay.
per year, but it's not, you don't have a ton of graduates. And we have so many large systems that it has a tendency to eat all of those new graduates up, right? So they
Mm.
come out, they can offer them right now they're offering big sign-on bonuses.
Really?
They're offering big sign-on bonuses, like up to $10,000 in sign-on bonuses.
Wow.
Yeah, they are offering so many benefits, between the the coverage of the healthcare, the continuing education, paying for their licenses. So they've got lots of benefits that they can offer as these larger corporate structures that it
Hmm.
can tend to beat out the private practices, um, which makes us sort of flailing, looking to find who's left, if
Mm.
anyone, to be able to hire. So on the physical therapy realm, we are always looking for people who want to come on board, whether it's a
Hmm.
new grad or otherwise, but also really wants to be in private practice. And oftentimes new graduates don't really know unless, I mean, even though they've done clinicals and
Hmm.
they might have a preference towards, say, hospital-based system or inpatient or outpatient, they don't always really know the differences per se between a private practice and a private equity company and how
Hmm.
that's going to operate, how that corporate structure is going to operate in comparison. So
Yeah.
that can present some challenges right there.
So it becomes a
Um,
money game. Like, who can pay the most? That's a big challenge.
Exactly. Yes, it
Okay.
becomes a money galen who could pay the most.
Hmm.
So what happens is then you have new graduates coming out wanting to make as much money as therapists who are very experienced and have been in this for years and years and years. And
Mm.
then even behind that, taking that even a step back farther, the the pay is really based on the reimbursement in physical therapy, and the
Hmm.
reimbursement comes from the health insurance companies.
Hmm.
And so we are bound by what they pay us,
Hmm.
and that's what's going to determine salary. So if I want to make more money, I need to see more patients.
Yeah.
It's then it becomes a volume issue.
Yeah.
If I'm willing to make a little bit less, you're going to have a calmer schedule as well. So those are some of the things that are just initially challenging
Yeah.
with finding people to come and work at a smaller private practice.
Right. And you said something interesting. They're not aware of the differences between truly privately owned versus, not privately owned, whether you're working in a hospital-based system or private equity. I mean, is there any way to get the word out about that you've had success with?
Um, Mostly just in talking with them so they can understand, yes, we operate like a corporate structure in the sense that we have policies, we have procedures, we have systems,
Hmm.
but we don't have a board of directors telling us
Yeah.
what we can and can't do and how we're going to run our business. And so we determine what we feel is the proper amount of visits and metrics
Hmm.
versus a board you know, who has shareholders and needs to make money for that reason.
Right.
So those are some of the differences. And then some of it is just the cultural difference of the company.
Hmm.
Um, and again, we're in a private practice. Oftentimes the culture is more really about the relationship building. It's about um, learning different types of treatments and modalities and doing things that's particularly going to benefit each patient individually and
Yeah.
not just exactly cookie cutter. Of course, we know we do evidence based treatment, but you also have to look at what's really happening with each patient and what their real needs are versus I'm just going to do this cookie cutter treatment. If they have uh,
Just pure
this
algorithmic, no free
right,
thinking, no
yes, yeah.
tailoring.
They
Yeah,
have this
yeah,
shoulder issue. This is the protocol for that, and that's what we're going to do. Well, what if that doesn't work? You have to be able to figure out and critically think how to do something different and how to figure that out.
yeah.
So I think there are those cultural differences. Um, and again, the relationship building in a private practice versus, say, a larger corporate structure where they're running a lot more evaluations through and patients are in and out and they might try different therapy places and they don't really get connected
Hmm.
to a particular group of therapists.
Hmm.
So I think that's a part of it right there, trying to get that word out.
Yeah. Okay. So the one that we're all crossing our fingers that it comes through and he or she
This is a she.
she
Yes.
starts. So how'd you get her? I mean, wasn't she seduced by all the money and all the stuff too? And
Yeah, probably. So actually, what I did is I reached out to one of the schools that we take students from.
hmm.
I had the job posted on Indeed, but I did contact the school who handles the students and the placings of the students because the students that I've had come through most recently were not really from this area, even though this college was is local.
Okay.
So I asked if she thought it could think of anybody who would be interested in private practice, specifically for what we do. And part of our niche besides orthopedics is pelvic floor. So
Mm.
I'm definitely looking for a niche based therapist, right?
Mm.
Because most of them do not do pelvic floor work.
Okay.
And so I sent her a description of the job. I sent her the link on Indeed, and she actually had somebody in mind, and she referred her to me. And she applied via Indeed, actually, and that was how I came to
Wow.
interview her and be bringing her on board. And what was nice about this candidate um, was that she actually had a rotation of uh, of pelvic floor where 90% of her caseload was pelvic. So she'd had other rotations, so she'd done inpatient and outpatient orthopedics, and she really finds herself drawn to the pelvic floor, even though she wants to learn both pelvic um, and orthopedics, of course, and
Okay.
vestibular.
So there was
So that
something different that she and
yes,
so go back to your 13 competitors within 5 or 6 miles. How many of them focus on pelvic floor like the way you do?
oh gosh, the way we do, none that I know of. I
Okay.
know some of the practices do some pelvic floor, but we probably do much more of it, including male pelvic floor,
Okay.
which again is just a specialty in pelvic floor itself. It
Hmm.
is primarily for females because they tend to have more pelvic floor issues.
Hmm.
However, many men have those issues too, and sometimes it's post surgical as
Got
well.
it. Okay. Wow. Okay. So big challenge, money. Hard to compete on money. Any other
Yes.
like big challenges that you've, in your hiring experience that jump out at you from for you?
Definitely. Well, finding an experienced therapist to bring on board is challenging because again, they are already at the top rates
Mm.
of what they do. So bringing them in at the very top rate, and again, I probably do not do the same volume as these larger companies do.
Mm,
So if they tell me they're seeing between 60 and 70 visits a week in a 40-hour work week, I know we don't do that. I know
mm,
that's not our volume level.
mm-hmm.
So I can't really pay them that amount of money in order to produce, because I cannot produce that number of visits per therapist, especially in pelvic floor, because it's one-on-one and you need more time.
Yeah. And do they get that? Do they get the connection between, if to make the money I make, I have to see the volume of patients I see? Do you think that they grasp the math?
No,
Interesting.
uh, not from my experience. Sometimes they sort of start to see that light, like, oh, yeah, I guess I do see X amount of patients. I make this much money, but I do see this amount of patients. And oftentimes they're looking because they are looking to see a, a easier patient load, in the sense that it can become overwhelming to see 6 or 7
Mm-hmm.
visits a week. And add on that many of those are going to be evaluations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes for a pretty tight schedule.
Yeah.
And so often they are looking for something that is maybe uh, not as cumbersome. However, you want to make that top dollar, but you can't do that if you're going to see fewer patients.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. And it
Yeah.
has to do, again, it's directly tied to the insurance reimbursement.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like people walk in and they buy a product and they walk out, and you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's difference there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's jump in. Just start riffing strategies. What do you find works, helps? You already said one thing. We happen to have a specialty that few other practices do. And that's what attracted this new hire to you. So that's always a good one. Be different in some way.
Yes.
But what do you find, works, helps, is effective?
Actually, I've been using social media as well as LinkedIn. Um,
You mean to
Sometimes
like
even just
find candidates or just to promote yourself, or what do you mean?
to promote ourselves, and also some I have some short video clips. We've done some videos where the staff is talking, and how long they've been here, why they like being here, working for our company. And so oftentimes when I'm looking for somebody, I will post that maybe through LinkedIn or on social media, so
Hmm.
that people can see how the staff themselves actually feel about working here.
Good. Okay.
We also let patients and clients know, which
Hmm.
sometimes helps us build a connection. As a matter of fact, our massage therapist that we just hired is actually one of our patients' daughters.
Was that the one I met? She was
Uh,
doing the,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
okay. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So her mother has been coming here for some therapy. She knew we were looking for a massage therapist. She says, my daughter is moving back here from Wisconsin. And it was like, great, have her send a resume. Let's
Yeah,
talk.
let's talk.
And she, it turns out she's now living right here in downtown, our downtown area.
Hmm.
So she's literally like 2 minutes away. And so sometimes it just works out that way,
Stars align. Yeah.
the stars
Yeah.
align, but definitely letting people know. I belong to a women's networking organization.
Hmm.
And so I'll announce it in there. Hey, a good lead for me would be somebody who is looking for a position in physical therapy, or as a massage therapist, or whatever it is I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So, or even if I'm looking for front desk, I'll say, hey, I
Yeah.
am looking for another administrative person as a patient care coordinator, or whatever I'm looking for.
Hmm.
And if they know of anybody, they can send them our information and a link, and help them connect with us.
Yeah.
So that it's, again, back to that sort of word of mouth type of
Hmm.
thing,
Hmm.
in that sense, where
Hmm.
you're just reaching out, letting people know that you're looking and what you're
Hmm.
looking for, and giving them that information so they can pass it on.
Yeah. And there's two things in there that are really nice, what you said. One is sort of cast a wide net in a variety of different channels. The other one is, you know, when you post on social the videos of the staff and how happy they are, do you do that only when you're looking to hire, or you kind of do it sort of periodically, kind of regularly?
I try to do it more regularly, and I try to sort of always be interviewing, in a
Hmm.
sense. So anytime anybody sends me a resume, even, we've got a couple who are sending resumes who are looking to tech for the summer. Um, and I do currently have my tech set for the summer, but I'm always still happy to interview, because I never know what kind of connection that's going to make.
Yeah.
So even though I can't hire them this summer, maybe next summer would be a better option for them.
Yeah.
Um, so while they're in college, and again, sometimes just, it's just making that connection. Um, with those people and
Hmm.
casting out that wide net. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I feel like something I learned over the years, and I wasn't the one who thought of it, obviously, but was to just really always be interviewing, always
Hmm.
be talking to people. If they want to come in and interview, let them come in and interview. You just never know
Yeah.
what that could mean in the future.
Yeah. And that's good for them too. So, all right. So there's a third thing. So the promotion of, how awesome it is to work at the practice and what staff think, those who work there. That's
Yeah,
really strong. I mean, it will be viewed. And as long as you're putting a good foot forward, it's intended to be received positively, authentically. A lot of
yeah,
people don't do that. What would it be like to work here? It's probably one of those questions that I'll bet you for every 10 fresh graduates who are looking around, not all 10 think of. I wonder what it's like to work there every day. And so you're
exactly.
you're telling them that. The other one is always be interviewing.
Yes.
Yeah, I would even extend it and say always be looking. Like, so for those who contact you, yeah, let's have a coffee. Let's figure it. Let's talk to each other, get to know each other. We're full now, but you never know. Um, do you ever like take that one step further and say, I don't know, I'll make it up, the Chicagoland Physical Therapy Association, if there even is such a thing? Ever go to their events, kind of meet people? Yeah, I'm working now. I'm happy where I am. You know what? If that ever changes,
Yeah.
can we be on your list? I mean, I don't know if our timing will be when your timing is, but it's like when you're looking, your timing is now. The only
Right.
people who are really going to talk to you are their timing is also now. But there's all these other people who either your timing's not now or their timing's not now, but they might be good to know, you know?
Yeah. Actually, sometimes different events like the IPTA, and actually even the continuing education courses are a good networking,
But you
even
never
for
know,
potential therapists. So
you
when
know?
I go to um, a continuing education course, and we typically introduce ourselves, and we will generally pass out our cards to each other,
Yeah.
and I'll say, hey, I'm the owner, if you're live in the area and you're ever looking. As a matter of fact, now that you mention that, I was looking for a new high-low table, but I just wanted to buy a used one.
Hmm.
um, so I was on, marketplace, and I was like, oh, look at this one. It was like whatever, $300. And it was, and I'm in Downers Grove, and this was in Highland Park. Contacted her, it was
Hmm.
another PT up in Highland, and said, all right, I'm going to come out and get the table. My husband and I take the truck. We go out to get the high-low table. She is a PT in private practice in that area. Also does pelvic floor. Obviously, we
Look
are
at that.
pretty,
Yeah.
yeah, we are pretty far away from each other. But she was saying, "Oh, I was just in Downers Grove a couple weeks ago with a group of the moms, and who we were, all young moms together, right at a restaurant here in downtown Downers Grove. I passed your place." And she says, one of the therapists lives near, or one was moving this way. And I said, well, here's my cards. Tell them to come and see me if they feel like making a change.
Hmm.
So just giving her my business cards. One of them was actually a pelvic floor therapist, working in a larger system right now. And I think one was moving from another area, planning on moving to this area in the near future. So a crazy thing like
Time
that,
will tell, you never know. But yeah, it's like
making a
if you're always
connection.
looking, right? And for you specifically, if I would make every meeting include a tour of your office just because it's got to be different from the standard,
It
and
is,
and good practitioners can look around and go, "Oh, I could really have a good time here. I mean, look at this
yeah,
place. I never
yeah.
see
And
this or that or the other. Yeah.
yep. And that's always a part of that process. If they come in, I show them around, answer questions, show them some of the things we do. That's our light laser. This is our massage room. Here's our gym downstairs. Here's where
Hmm.
we dry needle. These are
Hmm.
our pelvic floor rooms. Here's where we do orthopedics. And again, it just kind of gives them a sense of like, hey, this is kind of different. This is, it's family felt in a sense. It's a
Hmm.
little bit warmer.
Hmm.
Um, and again, I've worked in hospital settings and different types of outpatient settings, and it's usually the feel is a little more clinical and sterile.
There,
And
yeah, yeah.
that doesn't mean we're not clean. We're very clean here. It just
But
means
just
that it
just the
has a little
feel, the
more,
environment.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah. It just has a
yes.
little bit more of a friendly family feel.
Hmm.
Um, and actually, our branding is behind it is actually that's what the branding is about. So it was one of my patients, who does our branding, and she years ago,
Hmm.
I didn't really have branding, because I don't know how to make a brand. I don't know how to do a drawing. I don't, not my cup of, I don't know what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
And she said, do you mind if I rebrand you? I was like, please do, go right ahead.
Wish I met
And
you earlier.
yeah, right. And so she actually came up with this concept where, um, if you look at our logos, they are all kinds of different sort of jumpy people.
Hmm.
And she says the idea behind that is that this is a happy place. This is the happiest place I've ever come to for my physical therapy.
Mm.
And so some jumpy people got the arms up, some jumpy people have their arms a different way, but
Hmm.
the point is it's happiness.
Hmm.
And I really appreciated that. I thought that was like the coolest thing ever, that
Hmm.
our brand represents happiness.
Hmm.
And she still comes in for her therapy to us, and all
Yeah.
these years later.
Yeah. That could be, I don't know if you maybe you already do this. By the way, first of all, your brand is stronger than you think because you've got a core difference. You do things differently in ways that are valuable to your patients. You can be valuable and different in a way that's valuable. Um, the branding, the visual branding just says, how do we, you wouldn't say all that to people. That's clunky, but what does that translate to? Happiness. For you, it's happiness.
Happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as long when you're networking with folks or even interviewing them, say, look, I got to tell you, this is intentional. That's not just some rando icon we picked up one day of people jumping. It's actually, let me tell you about that. And you'll feel
Yeah.
it every day. And that's what you get when you work here, you know.
Yeah, I feel like I should put that out there now that we just talked about it. I don't think I ever have, except here when people ask me, you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
and um,
Like when you put in your job description on Indeed or whatever, do you put, let us tell you, happiness is a word we mean very intentionally. It's not
no,
just
I'm
some
going to
rando
now
word
though.
we put up there to say, look at us, we're happy, but it's
We're
meaningless
happy.
behind. It's a house of
Yeah,
cards that falls down because you don't really know what you meant, but
yeah,
you do. Like you
yeah.
do, you know?
I'm actually gonna make that a little bit more well known now because I never really thought about it until we were just speaking of it. And again, that was her intention behind the branding, is that it's a happy
Hmm.
place. So and to be honest, it's kind of my happy place. I actually enjoy being here.
Hmm.
So it's the logo and the branding are truth.
Yeah. Yeah. So good promotion of sort of the overall
Overall
point of
culture, I
view,
think.
culture
Yeah.
and point of view of your practice. You're out there, ready to talk to anybody when they come in, when they
Yep.
reach out. Anything else you found? That was one of the points I wanted to make, is just because you never know the timing, right? Timing is just
Right.
tough. You need somebody now. That the only pool of people who are even eligible are those who are also looking now. Um, but that's just a subset. You never know. You could meet somebody like a front desk person at some other whatever and
Right.
really hit it off, and then you got somebody. Would you,
Yeah.
let's say you met somebody who was awesome, but they're like, look, I'm working right now, and you were looking, would you ever say to them, we've got an opening, I'd like to talk to you? Would you ever go that far? Some are like, oops, I will never do that. Others are like, well, I'll ask, you
Well,
know.
I'll always ask, or usually I'll just say, if you're ever interested, I'm happy to talk. Or if you know somebody who is interested,
Hmm.
please send them my way.
Hmm.
Um, and that seems to, it's not overly aggressive, but yet
Hmm.
I'm just saying like, hey, I'm open, you know.
Hmm.
And if you're looking for something, or you change your mind, or where you're at is not what you want to be doing,
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
Um, and
That's
we've
yeah. There are
that's
people.
really it. It's that's I don't want to like poach other people's therapists, but at the same time, if
Yeah.
you're not happy and you're going to be looking, I'm going to be open to that.
Yeah. And I've met some people who feel that even that is poaching. And I'm like, no, it's not. Poaching
Yeah.
means I want you. I'm not letting go. Name your price, name your number, name your conditions. I want you. To me,
Right.
that's poaching all day long. But
Right.
if you're not happy, if you initiate, because you're not happy or this or that, or you just want to change, sometimes people do, keep me on your
Yeah.
list because I'd love to talk
Yeah.
to you. To me, that's
Absolutely.
not, I don't know. I don't personally don't view that as poaching. Um,
No, I don't either.
but
Yeah.
individual listener, draw the
Yeah.
line where you will, no judgment,
Absolutely.
draw a line where you
Absolutely.
will. Yeah.
I mean, with hiring and interviewing, there are some companies out there, like again I mentioned Indeed, and I
Hmm.
typically will utilize Indeed. I personally seem to get the best results from Indeed
Interesting.
in my postings, but I've tried others. So and again, I know we're about venues and where would we be looking, but there's companies like ZipRecruiter.
Hmm.
um, I have not had a lot of luck with recruiter, and I found them really expensive for me as a small business owner.
Hmm.
And I would say the same with LinkedIn. You can post jobs,
Hmm.
paid jobs on LinkedIn. Um, you can, let's see where else, on the IPTA, right? So I'm in Illinois, the Illinois or the
Hmm.
American Physical Therapy Association. I've
Hmm.
posted jobs on both of those sites,
Hmm.
with not a lot of success. I'll be perfectly honest. Um,
That's almost ironic. That's you would
yeah,
hope, I guess, that a sort of
mhm,
specialty specific site would
yeah.
be
I
better.
used to have better luck with the APTA and the IPTA postings for jobs. I have less luck with it now.
Why? What do you
Um,
think changed?
I know a lot of the sponsors are some of these larger corporations now, so I don't know if they just spend more money on their advertising and it's
Wow.
always on there versus like a private practice. Like we put it on there when we're actually looking for somebody. We cannot afford to consistently run ads on a monthly basis for years and
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
they it seems like they are always um, always marketing on there.
Right.
Um, so I think that might be some of it. I also think because of the shortage of physical therapists, that you're less likely to find somebody on there because there's so many different jobs on there.
True.
Um, and so that might be a part of it. I don't know exactly what the IPTA or the APTA would say about that, or if they
Hmm.
follow that at all.
Hmm.
I just know I used to get better results with that, and I have not in years had decent results with it. I seem to be getting, the same, like I said, with ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn.
Right.
Um, oh, what's the other one? Was there Glassdoor?
Yeah.
No, they're
I don't know if
more.
they
I
definitely do
haven't
like
good.
reviews of workplaces,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
Indeed, Zip,
Um,
and I'm blanking. There's a third one, but I'm
there's a third one. I can't
totally
remember who it
blanking
is.
on what it is.
Yeah.
Do any of the PT programs, when I was getting my MBA, this was pretty common. I did both sides of it. Do they ever, is there any like sort of career prep in PT programs, interview prep? Like what we when I was getting my MBA, there were mock interviews. Companies would come in and it was called a mock interview, was good practice. But both sides knew, the student side knew you're kind of being looked at anyway, and you better treat it like it's the real deal. And then
Yeah.
the other side, and I sat on both sides. When I went back to where I graduated, I'm like, yeah, this is a chance to check out a few of these people, give them,
Yeah.
honest feedback. Is there anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mm.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think any of the schools do that. It's definitely all,
It's like a way to get in front of students, and then you can
yeah,
kind of, maybe you get a hit or you just someone to keep on your radar. Or,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and that's part of the reason like that we take students, right? So we
Hmm.
take students in the hopes that we will find that student who is looking to come on board when they've graduated.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I have found also better results with that, taking PTA students through some of the local colleges here, because I have one, two, three, four, three or four of my new hires are new grads, which I
I
actually
love
like
this.
hiring new grads. I love it.
The,
But
the,
one, two, three are PTAs. One is a DPT, and the new one coming on will be a DPT. So it'll be five
yeah.
of my hires are new grads.
So the
Um,
highfalutin business way to say that is you've built a pipeline, like
yes,
a feeder pipeline. And would you ever consider doing that with like your front desk or your admin? I don't know where you'd find the pipeline, but I don't know.
I don't know how that would be the thing. Like, where is that pipeline?
I don't
What is
know.
that pipeline?
Maybe
That
local
I'm not
community
really sure about.
colleges or
Maybe,
I don't
yeah,
know. I don't
posting on
know.
boards at the colleges.
I can
I
tell you
haven't
this.
thought about that, but
So
that's an
here's,
idea.
I don't know how applicable this would be. A friend of mine runs a different type of marketing agency, social media, and she was growing, but she didn't have a lot of money to pay. So I said, what about getting like college interns? Um, go back to where,
Yeah.
so what she did is she ended up going back to where she graduated and she contacted the relevant academic department, said, I've got a business, I've got need, I can't pay, but I can offer real work experience, can this fly here? And I think she's now it's like college credit for them. Their resume is really
Wow.
building. They're doing real work. They're not
That's
getting
great.
paid, but everybody wins. And
Yeah.
she's getting everybody wins. And I don't know. I kind of wonder.
Yeah. I think that's a great pipeline. I think I
I don't know
haven't
where it would
tried that, to
fit
be
though.
honest. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, like we have community college near here, which is like the College of DePage.
Hmm.
And so I've tried to utilize that pipeline a little bit.
Like the
I
chair of the
haven't
business
been,
department or whatever. So like I've got an idea that makes sense to me. Maybe it's totally dead end, but what do you
yeah,
think? Here it is. Could this fly here? How? What would it
could fly.
be?
Yeah,
Could be. The worst they can do is say, yeah, we have no way to help you, but at least you would
right.
know. And
Yes, yeah,
then
that's,
I don't
and then
know.
you go from there, right? Then you find
Yeah.
another pipeline. Yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
what I like
I
what you're doing is you're like building pipelines. You are out there, you're open. Let's talk.
Yeah.
It's
And you
all
have to build
positive.
multiple pipelines. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
because sometimes one works better with than another at any particular date and time, right?
Hmm.
So, you know, again, the IPTA and the APTA listings used to you work really well for me.
Hmm.
The last several years, they do not work very well for me at all. Um, and
Yeah, they ebb and flow. Yes.
they ebb and flow.
Yeah.
I would say more recently, these last few years, Indeed has definitely worked much better for me.
Hmm.
I've even tried, and I'm sure a lot of practice owners have tried, I've even used a recruiting company.
Oh,
And that's
how'd that
something
go?
that not so great.
Yeah.
Not so good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, uh, two things like in terms of like for physical therapists, right, in private practice. Um, I have tried utilizing a recruiter. Now, PT is a business where so many practices are looking for physical therapists. You probably, unless you're coming from out of state, don't really need a recruiter. But
Mm.
when you're desperate, you'll try anything, right? And then so
Yeah.
I was desperate. I was like, I will try anything. So you pay amount of money, and then if they hire someone, if you find someone through them, then it's a percentage of their salary, which is a lot of money, by the
Yeah.
way. It's like
It's a nice percentage. It's good to be a
that's a nice,
recruiter.
yeah,
Yeah.
good to be a recruiter. So, but what I found with that is the candidates coming through were um, definitely not up to standards that I would be able to hire here for my private practice.
Interesting. Yeah.
And that was a little disappointing, because
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 34 years. I've been in practice for over 18 years, and it it makes me a little unhappy.
Hmm.
Um, to see a level of therapists who are completely and totally not very engaged and are just looking for money. And, they
Mm.
come in and that, well, I want this and I want that and I want that. Well, me too. I want all,
Yeah, get
I want
line.
all,
Line forms behind me.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I want all those things too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and they weren't consistent. I've uh, had candidates who um, cancel last minute multiple times and then want to come back in and oh, I was tired and what? Okay,
Hmm.
so it just wasn't the greatest for me. I did have one front desk hire from a recruiter who I knew from my own chambers, and
Yeah.
so that was a decent candidate. It didn't last forever. It lasted a couple of years, and then it went south pretty quick from there,
Got it. Okay.
unfortunately. So for me, the recruiter is not the best option. I'm a
Didn't
little bit
work.
gun shy over it now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I also want to say something else. This is so the first episode where you came on, we sort of talked a bit about, we focused on like systems. And so
Mhm.
the other thing you happen to have going is you have like a well-run practice. You got a good culture. It's different. There's treatments that are you provide that some others don't. You run well and you're promoting those things. So I say this to say, listeners, you know, these are the things that can help attract and keep people.
Yes.
So you have to build it well, you have to promote that well, and you have to always be looking. I mean, Mary Lou
Hmm.
would love to sit back and just sort of field candidates and hire the best one and
Yeah.
not have to compete or whatever. But with all of her time, and you've been in your locality for the entirety of the 18 years that you've been,
Yes.
so
I've been
you
in
are
this
wired
downtown
like you
area.
that you are wired into the area. Let's assume you're well known, and yet it's still a slog for you to go
It's
find people.
it's
It's still a
yes,
slog, you
it
know.
is. It
And the
is.
next time you
It's
have to hire, it's going to be another new slog, and
yeah,
you're
it's a
gonna
battle,
go, I can't believe I have to do this again, but you do,
but you
and
do.
but you do. And so lots of pipelines, lots of
Yes.
feeders, try to take timing out of it to an
Yeah.
extent, and there it is, and
Yeah. I
kind
think
of.
I think the other thing that maybe is a misconception in terms of hiring, um, it has to do with the different generations.
Oh, tell me
S-
more.
Yeah. So I thought about this because you hear a lot of things like, oh, this generation of kids coming up, they're terrible and they have no work
Yeah.
ethic and
Yeah.
so
Drains on
whether it's
society. Yeah.
drains on society,
Yeah.
Gen Z, who's before that, millennials, and
Yeah.
I don't even know if I know them all.
Yeah.
Um, the names of all the generations,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's a fair
Hmm.
assumption. I've had high school kids come in and be excellent, motivated,
Hmm.
um, great workers, listeners, um, self starters, and they've done a great job.
Hmm.
And so I don't think those are fair assumptions, whether
Hmm.
it's Gen Z or millennials.
Hmm.
I have literally staff from Gen Z up through baby boomers
Hmm.
in my employ.
Hmm.
And I actually enjoy the diversity of that,
Hmm.
um, just learning from each other,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and finding we're more similar than different,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't like to peg people that way. And I
Yeah.
know that happens and I hear it a lot. Oh, they're not good workers, or and I get it. They're in every generation. I have had both great
Yeah.
hires and crappy hires,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you would think a middle-aged human being understands how to be on work on time and how to
That's
do their
true.
job well. And then you
Like
go, what?
still
What?
again,
Yeah,
really still.
again,
We talked
again.
how many times? Yeah.
Oh, jeez. So to me, it's not based on generation, or any of those things. I think there are good people
Yeah.
from all of those generations, and there's
Yeah.
bad ones from all those generations.
Yeah.
There are people who don't really want to work. They're working because they have to, and they're disconnected.
Yeah.
Um, and if you're disconnected from life and people, you're going to be disconnected at work.
You will.
So to me, no matter what the generation, if they're connected and
Yeah.
they're motivated and they're self starters, but they're team players, it's great, and they're
Yeah.
there. They're
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. We have covered a lot of ground. In fact, normally I ask, is there anything you think we should have covered that we didn't? But I'm going to skip that one because I think we just covered
That was it. That was the one
as
thing I was thinking
sane.
about
All right,
before the
there you
podcast.
go.
I was like, hey, man, we got to talk about the
Don't throw the
generations
baby
and
out
like
with the
how,
yeah.
yeah, like don't throw the
Yeah.
baby out with the
There
bathwater.
you
There's
go.
there's some goodies out there.
Yeah. So the other question I asked to finish up is where can somebody get started? So the context is, this discussion has caught their attention. And there's so many ideas that we have that, listen, every listener, you're going to have to trial and error these on your own. Some are going to work better than
Absolutely.
others than Mary Lou. Some you're going to have that we didn't even talk about. Again, this is not a solutions. This is a discussion episode. But given that, where would you, something super simple to get
Mhm.
started? What would you?
So for hiring, I would say super simple to start with is anything that's free.
Hmm.
So your networking organizations,
Hmm.
um, word of mouth,
Hmm.
um, even social media,
Hmm.
uh, and even Indeed does offer like free posts, which only last like 30 days, but that's
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm.
You can start off for free. LinkedIn will let you do a free job posting, and I think again it only goes for 30 days before they want you to start paying for it. But
Yeah.
there are venues that you can go. All right, I can actually put a free posting. The schools themselves, they will let you give them their job posting and put it on their boards free.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I always say start free,
Hmm.
and then
Yeah.
work from there
Yeah.
and see what happens.
Yeah. I'm actually going to add one and I'm going to violate my own rule about super simple because I think it's important, but it's not super simple. And it comes from the context is I've got a few clients where the clients who are the owners, they're the ones that I deal with, are the busiest staffers in the entire place. And so they're
Yes,
seeing more patients than anybody else is, seeing more clients, whatever it is. And I look at them and I say to myself, you are one shock away from having a huge problem because you don't have any time to work on your business, on your
correct.
practice.
Yes.
And for as important as people are, and frankly, they're the most expensive line item in your expense line,
Hmm.
wouldn't you want to, you know, you're good. The next shock is going to be as painful as the last one, unless you
Yes.
can restructure things in a bit where you've got time to think of, to work
Right.
on the business, as
Yep.
cliche as that is. One of which is keeping my finger on the pulse out there of who else is
Absolutely.
out there. And so that's not a super simple thing to do, but maybe the super simple thing is just to look in the mirror and ask yourself, If I had to
Right.
drop everything and hire somebody tomorrow, and I had to start from scratch, what kind of pain would that cause me in this business that I run? And if
Right.
the answer is, well, it'd be painful because we'd have a gap, but other than
Right.
that, which is normal, even though it could be big, but if I had to like reschedule all my clients and all
Hmm.
this, you got a problem.
You got a problem because it's a loss of money. Now, if you're a solo practitioner and you have somebody kind of running the business for you, that you might be okay. But if something happens to you, then there is no business, number
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
And if you're not a solo practitioner, like I've got six other therapists with me, um, if I'm treating most of the people and most of the time, that's going to be an issue when I'm not treating
Or
or if
your
I have
book
to
is
go away.
filled, right? So the other ones, and then one of them quits, and you're like, God, I've got a full schedule. When am I going to find the time?
Right.
And the answer is you're going to have to make it, and you're going to have to
Yeah.
cancel a bunch of people. And I'm not saying you
It's
should always have this, but still, the balance is off.
the balance is off and you got to
Yeah,
find some balance. So even if you want to continue practicing, you have got to find some balance between running the business and seeing patients or
yeah.
clients or whatever the case is. And that's not easy to do.
No.
It's a hard task and it feels uncomfortable. I
Mm-hmm.
will tell you that it feels very uncomfortable. It took me a long time to transition.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you have to do it, and you can do it slowly. Doesn't mean you can't see people. It just means it shouldn't be primarily what you're doing if you
Correct.
want to grow the business and be safe
Yeah. I mean, there's
in the
benefits to
business.
continuing to treat patients. You are
Yes,
still in your craft.
absolutely.
You have your
Yep.
finger on the pulse of what's going on, what it takes. It's not to,
Yes.
to walk away completely, but um and the wrong person quitting is just one potential shock to the system. There are others, but if you are seeing patients all day, every day,
Yep.
and then you have to deal with that, something's got to give. So
Something got to
yes,
give.
something got to give. Thank you for coming back. This is a great topic. I want to have you more because these are cool discussions and are really insightful. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. I would love that.
Yes. A couple quick points before we wrap up. First, if you're like Mary Lou, you're a private practice owner, you've got some experience on the business side of private practice, or like us, and you serve private practices and you've got some experience as well. Either way, we want you to come on Practice Care and tell the world about it. Don't overthink what you think you know. What you know is not boring. I promise you. Others are obvious or dumb. There are others struggling with it. Don't overthink it. In the show notes to every episode is a link, a couple of clicks. Tell us what's on your mind and we'll get you scheduled ASAP. And finally, what are you doing if you haven't subscribed to Practice Care? Subscribe. It's one word, easy, new episode every week, easiest way to stay up to date. Please subscribe. We're everywhere, easy to find. Thanks very much. And until next time.